The following program is intended for mature audiences.
Tannehill will throw it, and this will end it after the shovel, or will it? Miami running around, circling, oh look out! Gronkowski didn't have the angle! Touchdown! Kenyon Drake! A miracle! Miraculous in Miami! Stills to Parker to Drake. A lateral heard round the world.
You're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.
And check out every episode of the show at basicallysports.tumblr.com.
Now here's your hosts, Zach,
Greg, Mike.
And you're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Hey, you know what this is? I think this is the first week, Mike, that our teams won and Zach's didn't.
Battle LA, Week 14 winners, the Chargers.
How many people were at the Chargers-Bengals game?
That's not no. That's not what counts.
How bad was it?
Oh, it wasn't as bad as the Cardinals game a week prior, but there were still some noticeable gaps in the lower bowl.
It gets really bad when they play teams that don't have strong traveling fan bases.
And by really bad, you mean that those fan bases don't actually show up so that it's empty.
Yes.
Which, again, is probably not a good thing that you have to rely on the road fan to fill up your building.
Especially when said building only holds, 27,000?
I have been consistently saying the move to LA was perhaps one of the dumbest sports decisions of the young century, probably dwarfed only by the 2 times Vince McMahon has started the XFL in this century.
No, I think we said it at one point that the Chargers move was the dumbest relocation in all of sports history. It's either that or the Coyotes. It's one of those two. Yeah, but I think most people would have moved out of Winnipeg in the 90s too.
No, I'm just saying, just in terms of the fact that they have never drawn a dime.
Yeah, well, in that case, I guess you could. Well,
I mean, it's a real apples and oranges situation. I think what the Coyotes one at least has is that it gave us the Glendale City Council meetings
and Austin Matthews,
whereas I don't know, will we ever get anything as entertaining out of the Chargers in LA? I guess the Schadenfreude at their crowd woes, but
See, I don't get much pleasure out of that because they're a good team, and I should get some pleasure out of it, though, because I want them to go back to San Diego where they belong. So I'm kind of torn on it.
I mean, I'm 100% enjoying it, and I'm a Chargers fan, and I want to see the team do well, and I'm actually legitimately excited about how good they've been this year. But all that being said, it's less I want them to move back to San Diego, although I do. But mostly what I want to do is just kind of laugh at Dean Spanos' hubris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like, as a Chargers fan, even before the LA move, I had to put up with that bullshit.
Well, speaking of LA, should we get Zach's little fiasco from Monday night or Sunday night football out of the way here?
What was that?
Oh, man.
You want my take on it, or do you want his?
I mean,
mine is shorter and easier. His is going to be a lot longer, I think. Mine is that it was cold out. It was just one of those games, and that's that. Simple. Have the Rams even played a cold weather game this year until last night?
They played in Denver earlier when it was kind of chilly. There was like a light snow before the game that day. And it didn't matter. It was similar to that game in that Jared Goff was not nearly as bad in that game, but he was still less than stellar. He struggled, he tried wearing the glove in that game, and that it clearly wasn't working. I don't remember if he was wearing gloves or not last night, but if he was or he wasn't, it didn't matter. He wasn't particularly good, but I don't even know if it's it's partially his fault because he made the bad throws, but I want to put the Rams' blame elsewhere. It's not all on Jared Goff's shoulders.
Well, let me ask you this.
Okay.
We are now at week 14 of the NFL season?
Correct.
If back in, say, the last week of August, I would have said, okay, at this point, you're going to be 11-2. Would you care how you got there?
Yeah, I hate these kind of arguments because, of course, you want to be 11-2.
Right.
But both the two happened most recently, and it's late in the year when these things kind of matter.
Well, no wonder they lose. The Saints loss was like a month or two ago, wasn't it?
Right, but what I'm saying is, like, if the Rams had lost their first 2 games of the season and then won 11 straight,
wow,
that's different than doing this. Right.
I just want to establish for the record that Goff was not wearing the gloves.
Okay.
No,
so
I think
maybe you should have worn gloves.
I think if you go back and look, and the Patriots did it again yesterday, they lose late in the season to Miami every year. It doesn't hurt them a bit.
No, and that's. Look, there's as long as they learn from this game and see, because like I was texting you guys last night, the things that happen to the Rams in this game are a microcosm of what their weaknesses are and what they have been the whole time. And hopefully a game like this will say, hey, snap out of it. You have to fix this if you want to not get some team. You know, the thing that will help the Rams is that they're not going to face any cold weather in the playoffs. It's either going to be in LA or in a dome. So they're not going to have to worry about weather. But what they can worry about is if they do happen to play the Bears again, or let's say the Seahawks. They play a defense that plays them kind of physically. Maybe, you know, and kind of can stand up to them that way, and then runs the ball and controls the clock. And the 2 things the Rams have had trouble with this year are teams that can run the ball pretty well on defense, and then offensively they outsmart themselves, and that's why I don't think part of it is on Jared Goff, no doubt.
So the thing that I think is really interesting about all this is that they abandoned Todd Gurley in a cold weather game, and when the weather is cold, you really do want to bring it back down to the ground game.
I think they just get a little they get behind, or they get in a position where things aren't going well, and they start trying to go for the quick strike. Let's get back in this fast instead of taking the slow and steady wins the race type philosophy. Yeah. You don't want to take a thing away from the Bears. That defense is really good.
Oh, yeah. And of course, the reason that the Rams abandoned the run was because the Bears were stuffing it.
I just don't think there's any cause for real serious concern. I think every team, all the good teams, have tripped up at this point in the season in the last couple of weeks. We saw the Saints do it against, who was it? A game they should have never lost. They lost to the Cowboys. We saw the Steelers yesterday lose to the freaking Raiders.
The Steelers are 0-4 against the AFC West this year.
Really?
They've lost to all 4 of the teams in the AFC West.
I tell you what, after seeing them yesterday, I just don't think they're very good.
No. The Steelers? I mean, we talked about this last week, but I think it bears repeating again that for a while there, I think people really overrated the Steelers.
Oh, man, I'm telling you. They're still playing for something at this point. I mean, they don't even have the division wrapped up because Baltimore won yesterday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Baltimore lost.
Baltimore lost, yeah.
KC in overtime, yeah.
Right, that's right. Well, see, okay, that's something I wanted to bring up while we're talking about that real quick. What we saw yesterday was what makes me nervous if I'm a Kansas City fan. They came into your place with a pretty good defense and not really a whole lot of offense, and they held them in check. A better team that's got a little more balance and a little more offense could come in there and beat them. Like, say, the Los Angeles Chargers of Costa Mesa.
Which we'll see on Thursday.
Yeah,
week.
So that's what I mean.
Oh, yay. Is it my turn to have Thursday night football?
Yeah, I get Saturday night football this week, guys. My Browns, my still in the hunt, Cleveland Browns.
Those Saturday games this week are clunkers. So have
who are the Browns playing?
The Browns are playing the Broncos, I think.
Yeah.
Hey, it doesn't matter. Greg, you're still in the hunt graphic.
That's right. No, I just think that with Kansas City, I think that, like I said, all the good teams are starting to show because you get to a point in the season, there's film on everything you've done now, so it gets a little bit tougher to go out and hang 50 points up every week and all that. So I'm not really getting too bent out of shape about any of the good teams slipping and stumbling a little bit, except Kansas City. They are starting to show the weaknesses I was concerned they've had all along. And
did they look out of sync without Kareem Hunt, you think?
Oh, I think that hurts them a lot, yeah. Don't you?
Yeah, well,
I would say he's like one of the top three backs in the league, easy. There's Gurley, probably Kamara from New Orleans, and Hunt. Who's better than that?
The leading rusher for the Chiefs was Spencer Ware,
who was good a couple of years ago, but not anymore.
Yeah,
you know, it's going to be interesting into the season, but a lot of dumb games yesterday. Jesus, I mean, the Steelers, the three worst teams in the league, all won yesterday. The Jets. The 49ers and the Raiders all won.
Who did the 49ers
beat the Broncos, right?
Beat the Broncos, which has got to put a damper on. Everyone was kind of getting high on the Broncos there for a while.
Yeah, I think we can scratch off the Broncos. They're probably not going to make the playoffs. Now, I think the Eagles have to be done at this point, right?
Eagles are dead. Yeah.
Dead. So long, Carolina Panthers. Here's some lovely parting gifts. You're not going to make it either.
The Browns. Yeah, the Browns putting up.
My little buddy Baker Mayfield just was in rare form yesterday.
It is shocking just how you can look at Baker Mayfield's young NFL career and like the dividing line between like bad and good is like literally the week that Hugh Jackson gets fired. Yeah. Like there's no ambiguity. It's like, oh, this Jackson was the problem. Well, okay.
Not even Hugh Jackson, Todd Haley not calling the plays anymore either.
I think that Greg Williams and Freddie Kitchens and that crew deserve a shot with this team after the way they've played. I don't know that getting a brand new coach and a whole new system is the best idea for this team right now.
They've earned the interview at the very least.
Yeah.
They've earned the chance to kind of argue their case. But of course, knowing the Browns, they might just let them stay. Too.
Right? I hope so. I mean, because right now the talk is everybody's all, oh my God, Mike McCarthy's available. It's like, no.
That would be like the worst thing.
No, I've been through years of this already. I've been here. We don't want to do this. But just on the Browns real quick, they've checked off a lot of boxes this year that I've been waiting a long time to see. Like yesterday, they were down in that game and they played like a team that knew we're going to be okay. Make the plays, we'll win, and they played like that. It wasn't anything special.
Imagine how good this team would be if they had just fired Hugh Jackson after going 0-16.
Yeah,
I mean, you'd think that is like a gimme, like, oh, your coach went 0-16, you fire the coach, but you know.
I'm just thinking you win 2 of those first however many games it was before he got fired, just 2 of them, and then you're looking at what are they 4?
They're 5-7-1. So let's say that you could be 7-7.
Yeah.
Or you'd be 8-6 right now, actually.
Yeah, but whatever. That's all. That's what are you going to do? There's nothing you can do about it. But the Panthers, wow,
that's a team with issues.
Yeah, and you can see it with the Browns yesterday. I mean, we were watching it. And my girlfriend's like, all the Browns losing. I said, don't worry. I said, this is a team that if you hit them in the mouth, they'll fold right up, and that's what the Browns did. And they did what they do. They fell right apart, and it was easy from there.
Yeah, I think things in the NFC look to be pretty stable as to who's going to make the playoffs. Either that or the Vikings blow a gasket and a bad team will make the playoffs in the NFC. But yeah, I think the way Carolina it was at 6-2. That was the week that they were going in to play Pittsburgh. And I remember us saying that we were asking, what do we know about the Panthers? Are they good? Or are they not? We don't know. This week will tell us. Well, they lost to the Steelers and lost the remaining games after that one.
Well, remember, too, after the Steelers game, the thought was, with just about everybody that talked about it, was that, well, it's a Thursday night. You can't put a lot of stock into a Thursday night game, so let's just kind of write that one off. And they haven't won since. Yep. So I think that, I don't know. That's got to be tough, though, if you are a fan. You start out 6-2, and now you're 6-7. I don't even know what you do at this point.
I think ESPN put up the graphic last night. They do all their different stats and calculations. At 6-2, the Panthers had like a 79% chance of making the playoffs, and now it's at and now it's at like 8%.
Well, good luck with that, boys.
Yeah, and because the thing with the Panthers is they're like I said, they're the teams just on the outside. Three games left, 2 of them against the Saints. So
I thought for a while yesterday the Saints were going to hack one up to the freaking Buccaneers of all teams.
Well, I mean, they did it at the beginning of the season. That's one of their 2 losses.
Yeah.
The Saints' 2 losses are the Cowboys, which doesn't look terrible now, and the Buccaneers, which they could have lost both of them yesterday.
The Fitzmagic Buccaneers at that.
Yeah. Well, second half pulled it out. Was
it Winston that played yesterday, or Fitzmagic, or both?
It was Winston played yesterday.
Okay. Yeah. But it was a weird day yesterday. There wasn't a lot of that Miami
New England game
finish was pretty crazy.
I mean, they always do it. I don't know how. Like, it just happens every year.
Every year they find a way to win one of these dumb games against the Patriots.
That's 2 years in a row they've done it wearing the throwbacks too.
I think it's a sign.
Yeah.
It's a sign.
It's close enough for me to be a sign that they need to go back to the throwbacks.
You even have players who are saying, like, we need to wear these full time.
I tell you what, though, I really love Tampa Bay doubling down. And it's like, you don't like our uniforms? Well, here, take this. And they've worn those horrible all red things 2 weeks in a row since that op-ed came out.
Like, seriously? They wore the color rush 2 weeks in a row?
Yeah, I wore it again yesterday. Sure did. Yeah.
Well, I saw them wearing it yesterday. I guess I didn't see the color from last week.
They wore it last week as well.
Yikes.
The only team in the history of my best and worst list to be the number 1 worst dressed team when they played a team that actually looked good. They played the Panthers the week before, but that red uniform was just so stupid. But yeah, they're doubling down. It's like, oh, you don't like our uniforms? Well, then screw you. We're going to just keep wearing these. Ugh, horrible.
Yeah, I remember those things debuted against the Rams all yellows back in St. Louis.
Yeah. Oh, that was.
So it was all red. It was all yellow in a Walmart.
Yeah.
Wasn't that the last game in St. Louis too?
I don't think it was. It was close.
Wasn't there a game where they were up against a playoff game the Cardinals were playing or something? Thursday nighter, I think.
It was a Monday night. It was a Monday night.
Was it that one maybe? Or no, they didn't do Color Rush on Monday night, so never mind. Anyway.
Let's jump back to Thursday. Let's go through some of these. Titans beat the Jaguars. Jaguars suck.
I'm back, Titans. I'm sorry I ever left. I'm back.
Jesus, Greg.
I'm so sorry.
Was Derrick Henry's 99-yard run the best run of all time, as social media dubbed it?
Oh, God, I wish I could say, but I didn't see it.
I didn't see it either because I saw Thursday Night Football, Tennessee, Jacksonville, and was like, I'm not watching that.
I wasn't watching it either, but it came up on my Twitter. The Jaguars down a punt at the 1, first play. Derrick Henry bounces a zone out to the left, stiff arms a guy, runs another 30 yards, stiff arms another guy, runs the rest of the field for a touchdown.
Was it as good as? I want to watch it right now.
It was pretty damn good.
I'm watching it right now. Okay, okay.
All right, he's out to the 10. Not bad. Stiff arm. Okay, there he goes. Boy, he's not very fast, is he?
Doesn't have to be.
Boom. There goes 48 out of the way. Yeah, I know. I'm not buying the whole greatest of all time. I think that's a nice run, but come on. I don't know if that's the best of all time. What do you guys think?
It's a pretty damn good run.
Good run, but I think Marshawn Lynch's Marshawn Lynch beast mode against the Saints that year in the playoffs. That was, I think, a better run than this.
That's pretty epic. Yeah, I'm sure there's some Barry Sanders runs that are up there.
There's a Monday Night Football one from way back in the day. Tony Dorsett, 99 yards and a half, as Don Meredith said. So it was pretty good. So great run, not the greatest of all time. I'm sorry. And oh my God, those uniforms are hideous.
Yeah. Yeah. But the Titans, one of those teams hanging around. They are
6 right there with our Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, they're
who also won, ended the Texans' win streak.
Yeah. You lose 6-0 to the freaking Jaguars the week before, then you go into Houston and beat the team that's won 9 in a row. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Well, I think that's one of those games where you have a team that wants it more than the other one, I think, ultimately. Because Houston's safe. Like, unless, again, disaster strikes and they lose the last 3 games and the Colts win the last 3 games.
That's not out of the realm of possibility.
I guess not. But yeah, the Colts are 7-6. They're right there with Tennessee, Miami, Baltimore, 4 teams, all tied at 7-6. Right now, Baltimore owns all the tiebreakers over the rest due to, they win the tiebreaker over Miami, percentage in common games. They win the tiebreaker over Indianapolis based on best in conference games, and the division tiebreaker was used to eliminate Tennessee. So a tight race there for the wild card.
Of the teams that we've got that are in the race right now.
Yeah,
not the first, not the upper echelon, but the middle, the stuff teams. Not the stuff teams, but a little bit better than stuff teams.
The right stuff teams.
Who's the most surprising to you at the 7-6 and in that range group?
I gotta say Indy, actually.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess Miami, you'd say it's surprising, but I don't think that they're good. Like they're gonna fall off at some point.
I see. Miami would be my choice. I'm surprised. I didn't think they'd win 7 games all year, and here they are at 7-6.
But they do. They're the new age Buffalo Bills in that sense.
Yeah.
Where we say this every year. How the hell is Miami still in this? They'll finish 8-8, just like they always do. You won't think about it ever again.
I just know that there's a friend of mine on Facebook is a Dolphins fan, and I get some version of the meme where Ryan Tannehill is the only person that misses Danny Amendola more than Tom Brady does, which I think is pretty funny. But we get it, okay? It's been 13 weeks of this. We get it. But
yeah,
I think the Dolphins are my surprise pick. The Colts, too, probably a little bit. I don't think we thought much of the Colts going into the season, did we?
No, not especially not after the first couple weeks. It just seemed like this was going to be another blah season where they've wasted Andrew Luck, and then quietly out of nowhere they moved their way up the ranks to be right there.
Okay.
If they're the ones that make the playoffs, that I think would be quite a surprise that the Colts would make the playoffs. Because even at their best, I think most people had them at 7-9.
Wouldn't you think though they're the most fun team out of the 7-6 group to make the playoffs? Would you rather see them than any of the others? I think I would.
I kind of like Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, but it depends on how bad that injury was in overtime for the Ravens.
I'll take the Colts. I think that would be fun. Let's see what in the NFC. Who's the biggest surprise there?
In the NFC, we're all kind of stuck.
In the NFC, everyone who's not currently in the playoffs is kind of bad.
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest.
But that's what I mean. Like, either the Vikings are going to hold on to that spot, or you're going to get a legitimately bad football team.
Yeah, we want to know who the biggest surprise in the NFC is right now? The Eagles, but not for a good reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
I'd say the Packers a little bit too. I didn't expect them to be 9-4, but I thought they'd be better than this. Everything else looks about like I expected it to.
Cowboys, I'm a bit shocked. I didn't think the Cowboys would be as good as they ended up being.
But that division, though, made it easy for them because we couldn't. If we sat down and did the preview show again today, I still don't know who I'd pick in that division, even though it's staring right at me. I'd still be like, I'm not sure about this. I don't know. That's a weird division. But the Cowboys, they're 8-5 now. Look at them go.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're chugging along. Let's see. All right. Some stuff. Jets, Bills stuff. Jets win. Sam Darnold came back, won. Josh Allen's rushed for 100 yards in consecutive games.
Enjoy those uniforms, folks. Saying it again.
The Giants-Redskins game is notable in only one way, really. I mean, yes, the Giants won. But how in the world is Josh Johnson the only quarterback that the Redskins can pull off the heap?
Well,
because Mark Sanchez came in and got hurt, so it was Josh Johnson that ended up being the quarterback of record for the Redskins.
I have a better question.
A guy who hadn't attempted a pass in 7 years.
I mean, more evidence for Colin Kaepernick's collusion case, I suppose.
But I have a better question than why. My question is, who is Josh Johnson?
You don't remember Josh Johnson?
No. Where refresh my memory.
You would have known him best as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer.
Okay.
Kansas State.
Sorry.
When Kansas State had that decent run not too long ago. That's it. That's all I got for you.
But really, at this point in the game, you're not picking Kaepernick up just because of the whole anthem thing. It's got to be it, right?
Or that's not even the right guy I was thinking of. That's, I actually don't know anything about Josh Johnson.
Okay.
Well, no, he was a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. I was right about that. He was a Cleveland Brown for one whole game, Greg.
Did he make the jersey?
He didn't attempt to pass, so
no, does it? You have to actually throw the ball.
Got to be on the jersey. Yeah.
No, the last time he had attempted a pass before Sunday was 2011 with the Bucs.
That's my point. I mean, look, I understand that it's not like Colin Kaepernick. Let's quit pretending like that he's the fifth best quarterback in the league that can't get a job. That's not the case. But you can't tell me that he's not good enough at this point to beat out a guy like a Nathan Peterman, for example, or Josh Johnson, or Mark freaking Sanchez. Come on.
Well,
Mark Sanchez wasn't good when he was good.
No, I was I was surprised that Colt McCoy was still in the league when he got to put into place there when Alex Smith went down, and then I was surprised that Mark Sanchez was the first call they made.
I think actually CCSLC member Crab Cake said it best. Two-time AFC finalist participant Mark Sanchez is back.
Well, the reasoning that the Redskins put out there was that they wanted more prototypical quarterbacks, your pocket passers, and that was because somebody asked them directly, of course, because at this point it's ridiculous. They asked them point blank, like, why haven't you brought in Kaepernick? And that was basically their reasoning was we wanted the Mark Sanchez type, the guy that's going to sit back there and just run the offense as it is and not kind of freelance.
Nobody
like
wants Mark Sanchez. Yeah. Well, here's my thing. You have your options are Josh Johnson, who we're not even sure we've ever heard of, or a guy that quarterbacked the 49ers to the Super Bowl one year. Now, it seems to me that's a pretty easy choice to make.
Yeah. And wouldn't that be poetry if he came in and saved the Redskins after Alex Smith goes down?
Yeah, well, it'd be funny. That'd be for sure. I mean, yeah, he's got a case. I don't know if he'll ever do anything, and I don't know if you can beat the NFL at this kind of stuff, but wow. I mean, you've really got to be you've got to be stubborn and stupid to. I mean, would the fans react that badly? Is that part of the reason why? Because I mean, I know there's a lot of fans out there that have a real issue with this whole whether kneel or not kneel thing. So maybe that's part of it.
I mean, honestly, with the Washington Redskins, given how they kind of had a chance to win this shit division, and then Alex Smith went down, it's kind of like, do you think any of them would care if Kaepernick came in and played halfway decently and they won the division? Like, do you think anyone would care?
I don't know. It's hard to say because people really got bent out of shape about that, of all the things. And I think that's the beauty of the propaganda machines that we have running today is that they get people bent out of shape over the dumbest stuff. And we talked about it back when it happened. I would not do what they're doing, but I'm not going to blow a gasket because they're doing it. But I'm wondering, because I think in the NFL, we've seen it. I mean, my God, what's his name? Speaking of the Redskins, that Reuben Foster. So here's what you're telling me, basically, Washington Redskins. You're telling me it's okay to kick the shit out of a woman a few times, but don't you dare not stand for the national anthem.
Well,
what kind of message does that send?
Greg, allegedly.
Okay. Once is allegedly. When it's happened like 3 or 4 times, yeah, you can. I mean, allegedly, sure, but come on.
Yeah. Anyway, we talked about the Saints.
I'm just saying though, but that's just a hell of a thing to. I mean, that's where your priorities are at this point.
Yeah, I get you.
Fuck that team. I'm back with the Native Americans. Screw them. All right.
Washington Indigenous Americans.
That's right, the Indigenous peoples.
The Indigenous peoples.
I'd even gotten to the point where I was saying their name again and stuff because I thought, who cares? It's not that important. But you know what? If you're going to be this big of an asshole, I've got to draw a line somewhere.
The Indigenous peoples of the Potomac River Valley.
Right. Yeah. Except I don't think they're anywhere near the Potomac. Aren't they in Maryland somewhere now? Or
Landover. Yeah.
Oh.
Which, having been to D.C. recently, it's not close. It's out there. Yeah.
Apparently, Snyder wants to get into the city, but the city's like, change your name.
Yeah.
Didn't the Bullets used to play at Landover? Before they became the Wizards?
I don't know.
I could have swore they did. Anyway.
Yeah, Snyder wants to get the land that RFK is on, but it's federal land, and there's a whole bunch of stuff.
Are they really telling me he's got to change the name before they'll even discuss it?
That was the ruling a while ago.
I just think. Look,
I don't know why they changed their stance.
All credit to Keith Olbermann for this idea, and I think it's the perfect solution. Change the name to the Washington Americans and leave everything else exactly the same. Problem solved.
Yeah, they won't do that, though.
Well, look, all it's got to be, you can call them whatever you want in the stands. Nothing we can do about that, right? I'm just saying, it would solve every issue. But let's move on. Saints, go ahead.
No, just we touched on the Saints. Drew Brees, not pedestrian day, but they came back in the second half.
What was the final in that?
28-14.
So they've scored 10 and 28 over the past 2 games after hanging like 40 a game up for a while.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think to a certain degree, too, when it comes to the Saints and the Rams, is when you're scoring that much and you're beating teams up and you're that far ahead of everybody else, maybe you lose your focus a little bit. It happens.
Yeah, could be. Could be.
I don't doubt it. I think it deserves to be brought up again, this Dolphins-Patriots game.
Absolutely.
What the hell is going on in that final play?
Well,
I know,
I don't know how do you let that happen, I guess.
Well, they're playing the prevent Hail Mary defense, right? And even though they're 70 yards away, and nobody's throwing a 70-yard Hail Mary unless you're Aaron Rodgers. And even then, that's a pretty big stretch. So they're all spread out all over all quadrants of the field, and they throw it short, and basically the Patriots don't react properly because you have some guys out there that are only out there for this Hail Mary thing.
Yeah, they didn't know
when they don't throw the Hail Mary.
Well, Gronk was out there playing safety.
Right.
I mean, he's a good player, but he's not a defensive player.
Well, the Patriots have done this. I remember Randy Moss got an interception at the end of the Patriot game.
Yeah, but they're there. But that's what I mean, though. They're there to play the pass. They're not there to play the run.
Right. Well, it's that, and I get kind of putting a star receiver like that out there, but Gronk is not a Randy Moss type. Like, you could put anybody else out there. And the thing was, they took one of their best tackler in Devin McCourty out for Rob Gronkowski on that play. So once the play got going, I mean, it took a lot to get to where Gronkowski was in the first place. But they threw it short. The Patriots didn't react properly. The Dolphins got some blockers out there, and there was a seam. And then a late reaction by Gronkowski, and it was done. That was it.
Well, before we go any further, let's establish something here. Okay? What is the proper name of the play that the Dolphins ran? Is it the hook and ladder, or is it the hook and lateral?
Well, it's hook and ladder.
It's actually the hook and lateral is what it's supposed to be called. That's the proper name for it, but everybody calls it the hook and ladder. So I guess either one's appropriate, but yeah.
And really, that's not even a hook and ladder. That was more of just a the Steelers actually ran a hook and ladder.
Yeah,
the Raiders laid the game.
That was so funny. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we'll get to them in a second. But I mean the Dolphins didn't even execute that play all that great.
No, that's what I mean. That was more just a lateral. And then, I don't know, he just got loose and ran through those guys. And I was like, wow.
Yeah. It looked like the Patriots were just kind of standing around watching them.
Well, it's like I told you when you said you guys were talking about it on the text yesterday, and you said the Dolphins always find a way. And I said, wait, they won? Because when the Patriots kicked that field goal with 20 seconds left, I said, that's it, it's over. And I turned it and I went back to watching something else. And I missed the whole thing. Unbelievable. That's the story of my life. I always turn games off too soon. It's just, I've been doing it ever since we started the show. You can go back and just find thousands of games I've turned off too soon.
The Patriots have now lost 4 of their last 5 in Miami.
Yeah.
And Tom Brady is 7-10 overall in Miami.
Well, like that. That's just, they just find a way.
It's just one of those teams that they have trouble with, and I don't get it because the Dolphins aren't good.
Yeah, the Patriots.
Sometimes you just have someone's number. Like it's as simple as that.
Yeah, that's the only explanation for it, right?
Tom Brady has a losing record on the road in only 3 cities.
Yes, okay. Obviously Miami.
Yep.
I'm going to go with Denver as the second one.
Denver, no.
No.
Indianapolis.
Nope.
I have no idea then.
Kansas City, he's 1-2.
Okay.
Carolina, he's 1-2.
Wow. Can you guys? Can you even remember the Patriots playing at Carolina? I mean, because it doesn't happen very often.
No, and that's why both of those are kind of like small sample size. But that's why the Dolphins one sticks out because 7 wins, but 10 losses, still not great.
Yeah, the Dolphins, but that play was. You should never let that happen. A team of the Patriots caliber should never let that happen.
No professional football team of any sort of caliber should let that happen.
Yeah, but especially the Patriots.
Like that's college nonsense stuff. Like that's Stanford Cal band stuff.
But you see, here's the thing: no team should let it happen. But the fact that it happened, like it still makes sense that it happened because if any, it's the Dolphins, it's the Patriots. Like of course they would just find a way. It's weird. It's just weird. It's just one of those. It's just one of those situations where it's like, the Dolphins pulled some shit out of their ass to beat the Patriots in Miami. Well, whatever.
We do that weekly picks thread on the boards, and I got to that game and I thought, oh, it's the Patriots in Miami late in the season. They always have trouble. Or I thought they can't do it again. There's no way. So I picked the Patriots, and lo and behold, here we are again. The Dolphins do it again in the throwbacks again. It's just it's unbelievable. It's a weird thing because, like I said, the Dolphins are not a good football team. The Patriots are. Yet the Patriots just can't figure it out against them. I don't get it. And then when they lost the way they lost yesterday, it's just one of those things where it's like the football guys have decided you were going to lose in Miami once a year. That's it. So don't even try hard next time because you're not going to win anyway. What's the point?
Right. And in the bigger scheme of things, they're still 9-4.
Yeah.
They got helped out by the Colts winning earlier in the day because if Houston had won, then Houston would be in the number 2 spot.
Right.
But the Patriots are still in line for the bye. I don't know what their schedule is. Let me pull it up right now.
Yeah, but they're now 2 full games behind the Chiefs for the home field advantage throughout. And I've said all along, if you have to put the Patriots on the road in the playoffs, I don't think they make the Super Bowl. And then I was listening to somebody, and they actually backed that up.
But watch this happen, right? Where the Patriots are the number 2 seed, but then Andy reads, and then they get to go into, and then like Houston has to come to New England or something, and I'm just saying, like it's like just because the Patriots are the number 2 seed doesn't mean anything because it's the
Andy
Chiefs.
Reid is just such an X factor in everything.
Like again, it'd be like, the Patriots are gonna have to go into New England, and then like the Texans will win somehow in the final 3 minutes because Andy Reided, and it's like, oh well, I guess the Patriots had home field the entire time.
Yeah. Well, I'm not ruling your Chargers out as a possibility for home field throughout, which would be fucking hysterical. I'm sorry, but it would be.
No, I mean,
could you imagine that, Zach? They get home field advantage, the Chargers.
Well, let's see. I mean,
that is literally the definition of wishing on a monkey's paw. Like, all right, you get home field advantage, Chargers.
I think that would be bad for them. I really do. I don't think that would be good.
Because you know what would happen? This is what would happen. Chargers would get the number 1 seed. The 3rd and 4th seeds would win, which would mean the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Steelers fan base.
Oh Lord,
taking over StubHub Center.
I think it's easier to play against a hostile crowd in somebody else's building than it is in your own. It has to be, right? I mean, it would be terrible to be in your home stadium and have it filled with Steelers fans. At least if you're playing in Pittsburgh, it's supposed to be filled with Steelers fans. Wow. But that would be just too funny to me for the Chargers to get home field throughout. Wow. Yeah. But they could. I mean, they beat the Chiefs on Thursday.
They got to win on Thursday.
Yeah.
So the Patriots' last 3 games are at the Steelers this week.
That'll be a tough one.
Then they're home for the Bills and Jets. So
they'll be all right. There. So we're looking at probably worst case scenario 11-5 for them.
Right. Well, the Texans are at the Jets, at the Eagles, and home against the Jags to finish up.
Okay, so, they should win all 3 of those, but they won't.
Basically, the Texans have to count or hope that the Steelers have to bounce back this week and beat the Pats, and then they win out to get the number 2 seed. That's
what they got again. They got the Jets.
At Jets, at Philly, and home against the Jaguars.
I can see them losing 2 of those. I can see the Jets screwing things up and accidentally beating them in New York. And I can see them losing to, who was the other one?
Philadelphia.
Yeah, I can see them losing. I can see them losing in Philly too. It depends though. The Eagles may have nothing to play for at that point, so it's going to depend a lot on that.
Yeah. So like I said, they have to win out, and the Patriots have to lose to the Steelers. Basically, is what has to happen. Because I mean, yes, they sometimes trip up against the Jets or Bills, but I don't think either of these Jets or Bills teams are the trip-upable kind.
No, they're kind of bad.
Yeah, very, very much so.
Wow, Mike, your boys have a bit of a tough schedule the rest of the way. At Kansas City, home for Baltimore, at Denver. Not real tough, but not real easy either. Not real easy.
Well, speaking of those Chiefs, they that game that they played on Sunday was probably the best of the day games. Baltimore and Kansas City back and forth.
Yeah. Mahomes, did you see that play he made at the end there?
Yeah. Patrick Mahomes cementing himself as the MVP, unless he you
think that did it?
I think so. Because Drew Brees has fallen off. Goff,
I think that
Gurley slowed down a little bit. Aaron Donald is good, but he's not like the blow away MVP type.
It shouldn't be like this, but it is. And what I think is going to happen is that Drew Brees, because he's never won it, you're going to get a lot of sentimentality because Mahomes is going to have plenty of years to win it down the road, and that's why Drew Brees wins the MVP award. That's what I think. I'm not so sure he deserves it, but I think that's what will happen. We'll give it to Mahomes next year or the year after because he's got plenty more shots.
There's a lot of people that are on the hype train for Mahomes, though. They're all
good.
about him.
The kid can play.
Yeah. Well, because he made two great incredible plays in this game. One was the 4th and 9 in the overtime, where any other quarterback throwing up that ball is getting it picked off easily. Run into his right, thrown back across his body into traffic on a 4th and 9. It's just you're asking for that ball to be knocked down, picked off. And,
you know who he reminds me of? And this is I'm probably being a bit hyperbolic with this, but he is kind of like a cross between Montana and Elway. I think he has the smarts and the cool, keeps his head about him factor of Montana with the physical gifts of Elway. And it's like, Jesus Christ, that's not even fair.
Yeah. I mean, the early comparisons everybody made were Brett Favre, and on plays like that, you see it. Well, but that's the same sort of thing Favre would do. He'd run around, look for something, and just chuck it, and somehow...
We can't say that he's Brett Favre until he's thrown away at least 2 playoff games he should have won with a late game reception.
And to me,
as a Kansas City Chief, he will have the opportunity to do that, I'm sure.
Yes, he will. But my thing with the comparison to Favre is that Mahomes is, and not like Favre wasn't, but Mahomes seems to be deadly accurate.
Yeah.
When doing that, where Favre was hit or miss a lot of the time, where Mahomes is he's putting it right on the money.
Well, and the other thing that spoke to his accuracy, did you see the no-look pass he threw?
No.
We talk about, you see guys talk about it all the time where you're looking off the safety or whatever, but he basically threw the ball like he was Steve Nash. Where he was staring at a safety and threw to his right. Or say you're looking straight and you're looking to your top right. He threw a guy that was crossing the field to his top left and hit him dead on the numbers.
This game holds no challenge for me. I'm going to do no-look passes in the NFL now.
I've never seen a quarterback not look where he's throwing before. That's pretty incredible. But
it's pretty good. That was a smart draft pick they made. It was a smart, because you remember when they moved up to get him, everybody was kind of like, what are they doing? Well, now you know what they were doing.
Well, the best part about this game too is the Chiefs almost Andy Reided this one away.
Yeah.
with the missed field goal there at the end of regulation. They had the opportunity to blow it, and did. Lamar Jackson had another great game too, but he had to come out in overtime, and RG3 took the field.
RG3, he's still around?
He threw the last pass attempt of the game. He came in for the one play. It was a 4th down, and went to throw it. And almost he threw it right on the guy's hands at the first down line, but he couldn't come up with it. So he had one more chance and did okay.
Oh well, as long as if we I'm not gonna. I was gonna make the cornball brother joke, but I can't get the bat off my shoulder, so I'm not gonna bother to try. What was I gonna say?
I don't know. We talked about the Colts and the Texans there pulling it out. Hey, Greg, welcome to the Stuff. Your Packers are now a Stuff team.
Yes, they sure are, aren't they? Good looking Stuff team, though. They dress nice.
No, but what was the stuff matchup that they played? Who did they play again?
Falcons.
See, I can't even remember.
Falcons.
See, that's how much of a stuff game it was.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, by the way, welcome Joe Philbin back to the NFL. He burned 2 challenges in 86 seconds of game time.
That's my guy. That's why we hired him.
The first 86 seconds of the game, he blew both of his challenges.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Just like, what are you doing?
Did you miss Mike McCarthy?
You had the rest of the game to play. but that throw to the sideline on the second play of the game was really going to twist this one the wrong direction.
Well, at least the Packers did what they were supposed to do. They won pretty easily.
Yeah, I guess so.
So tell me, did you notice any sort of noticeable change in the way the Packers played now that McCarthy's gone? Was there anything? Did you notice? Was there a little extra umph in their effort?
I think that Aaron Rodgers was happy about it. I think that there was, just like kind of when the Browns fired Hugh Jackson, you could tell that. I think there was relief would be the word I would use, that it's over. Not necessarily anything in any particular direction as far as effort or whatever goes. Just like, okay, now we don't have to deal with that anymore. Mm-hmm. That kind of thing is what I would say I saw a little bit of. But if Packers fans think that firing Mike McCarthy was the panacea that's going to solve all these problems, I've got news for you. It doesn't change a thing. You still got issues on defense. He still needs a few more. There's a lot of work to be done yet. It's kind of like with the Browns. Yeah, Hugh Jackson's gone, but that doesn't mean we become immediate Super Bowl contenders right away. It's just some stuff that still needs to be done. It was a step in the right direction. But if I had to put one thing on it, it'd be that's just kind of relief that it was over was what I saw, basically. And the Falcons, wow, what a train wreck they've become. I don't understand it. Don't understand it.
Matt Ryan didn't even have a bad game. 262, 3 TDs. Just not.
And apparently, you want to talk about attendance woes? Can we talk about Atlanta?
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, Atlanta's having attendance issues.
People aren't going to the giant butthole?
No, they aren't going to the giant butthole to watch the Falcons middle it up with stuff games.
Hey, but they saw the MLS Cup final where the Atlanta United defeated the Portland Timbers.
Didn't they have attendance problems at the old Georgia Dome too? I mean, haven't they always had attendance problems?
I think that's just an Atlanta thing. Like,
yeah, all the teams
they're more fair weather than most. You know, if the team's not doing well, why should you bother? And I don't disagree with that.
Well, yeah, I think, and you understand traffic as well as anybody, Zach. I think a big part of it.
Yeah. Oh, Atlanta's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, and you're right. They're fair weather, like with the best of them. I mean, I like the Threshers. Or not the Threshers. That's the baseball team. The Thrashers. I don't know that they could have filled that place if they played for a Stanley Cup, consistently.
And the Braves, they had so many issues.
I don't know if the Braves, it just became like a fatigue thing where like they were so good for so long that people were just like, and talk to me when we get to the World Series. But they ran off that streak of 15 straight divisional titles. They had attendance issues. The Falcons have always had them. I don't know how the Hawks do because it's the NBA and who gives a shit. But yeah, people are not going to the butthole, huh?
Yeah, too bad.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if Chick-fil-A was open on Sundays, maybe they'd go.
Yeah, maybe that's the difference. Maybe that's all it is. Yeah. You open the Chick-fil-A, people show up.
When I went to
some waffle fries, I would.
When I went to the Caps Ducks game, it was on a Sunday. The first stand I saw when I walked in was Chick-fil-A, and it was closed. And I said, "Oh, of course."
Yeah,
makes sense.
I don't know what I think about that. I guess I kind of admire their convictions that they feel that strongly about it. But, you've got, I don't know how many thousands of employees. I'm sure there's some, godless heathens that would be happy to open on Sundays for you if you wanted to.
I don't mind the whole close on Sunday thing so much as I'm just kind of curious as to why, if you don't open on Sunday, you would have a location in a stadium for a team that primarily plays on Sunday.
Right.
Well, it's
not like the hockey arena or the basketball where you're going to get more than just Sunday games. Like, with the Caps game, they play on every other night for the most part.
Yeah. Well, the Falcons, the Chick-fil-A there put out the official statement. I think we talked about it a while ago.
Yes, there was actually an official statement because people were curious.
They get concert revenue, and the soccer team doesn't always play on Sundays, so. They get things in there.
Yeah, well, hey, more power to them. Like I said, I admire the convictions. I just don't know that it's clearly it's not hurting their business, so that's fine. Good for them.
The Broncos stopped dead in their tracks by the 49ers of all teams because George Kittle, the tight end, 210 yards receiving
in the first half.
On the day. Yeah.
In the first half, and he only needed 5 yards to break Shannon Sharp's all-time one-game record and couldn't get it.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Not an entire half, couldn't get 5 yards.
He's the first ever 49ers tight end to go over 1,000 yards receiving in a season.
Has he really?
Yeah.
Well, the 49ers, you talk about stuff teams. I mean, they're so far down the list that you forget they even play.
Well, they're not stuff. They're bad.
Yeah.
They're just
they beat the vaulted Broncos.
Yeah. The Broncos I would call king of the stuff. They were like they were the upper echelon of stuff teams.
Well, we need to establish this. Okay, so stuff teams are what? Just irrelevant.
Anybody
they're not terrible bad, so they're not like in the running for the number 1 draft pick.
Yeah.
So we're talking like the Falcons are a stuff team, the Packers now.
A good example of a stuff team would be in like the 2000s. So, in like the mid to late 2000s in the NHL, the Calgary Flames.
Yeah.
Where they always finished like 9th, and so they never blew up because they were like, oh, we're just if we just try a bit harder, we'll get that 8th seed, and then they just were like mediocre forever.
Or I'm going to throw what I think might be the quintessential stuff team, the Texas Rangers.
Yeah.
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 I think the most consistent stuff team in the NFL right now is probably the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, I'd go along with that.
I mean, I'm just saying, as a Chargers fan, it was so nice to get to play Hugh Jackson like 2 times a year, and I feel like one of those was just like a gimme.
Well, to point to that game, I gotta, Greg. I don't know if you've done your list yet, and I'm sure that the Tampa Bay Bucks take the top of the list because of that all red. But the Chargers in all navy blue against the Cincinnati Bengals.
That was not a pretty game to look at.
Yeah, I think you'll see that will make the list. Yes.
I'm just looking at the In the Hunt graphic right now on NFL.com. And the Browns are higher on the ladder than the Bengals.
They answer the phones at the Browns offices now. They say, hello, In the Hunt Cleveland Browns. Yeah.
It's like how BBTV keeps calling them the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. Now it's like official AFC playoffs In the Hunt team Cleveland Browns.
God's honest truth, and I think it was 95 when the Indians finally got into first place in the American League Central. Mm-hmm. The team started answering the phone, first place Cleveland Indians.
Jesus.
Because, it had been a while at that point since they could say that. But, yeah, and that's where I got that from. So now it's In the Hunt Cleveland Browns. So, anyway, we got any more NFL?
The last game of any sort of consequence was Raiders-Steelers.
Which was hilarious to watch, by the way.
They ran that hook and ladder so perfectly and then just botched the field goal. It was just funny.
Well, they ran it so perfectly, but he just couldn't get all the way to the end zone. Just stepped out. Yeah, and then he slipped. And, to his credit, he said, everybody else had to deal with the crappy turf, so, I'll take that.
Yeah.
But, here's the problem, Steelers. They're 0-4 against the AFC West this year. Now, do you remember all these games that they played against the AFC West? Well, we've had this tight one here with the Raiders where it came down.
Classic against the Chargers last week.
You had the Chargers game where they were up by 16. You had the Broncos game where Big Ben threw the interception on the goal line. And then they had the Mahomes coming out party earlier this year in Pittsburgh, where, again, that was a game they lost by just a few points. So they've been in every single one of these games that they've lost to – yes, okay, the Chiefs, good. The Chargers, good. But these Raiders and Broncos games, that's all on you guys, Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
weren't those? I know that.
Else.
I'm not making excuses for the Steelers, but I know it's very tough to play Denver on the road.
Sure,
but the Steelers, if you're going to be a legit AFC contender, you've got to be able to go in there and win that game, and they don't.
Big Ben also threw 2 really bad.
Yeah, that one at the end of the game, that was really bad. Well, you're not going to hear me get too bent out of shape about the Steelers not doing well. I don't have very many problems with that.
But the Oakland game was just perfect.
That was poetry.
And because the touchdown that they let them go ahead, the Steelers basically let them walk down the field.
Yeah.
Derek Carr and whatever is left of the Oakland Raiders offense.
It's Derek Carr and some mannequins.
And some stuff.
You shouldn't be letting Derek Carr throw for 322. You shouldn't let Jared Cook catch 116 yards. The Steelers played terrible defense. And it came down to a field goal, but it just shouldn't have in any way.
No.
And now they're in this position where they're doing what they can to hold off Baltimore. They're lucky that Lamar Jackson went down, in overtime, or maybe the Ravens win that game. The Ravens are a half game behind the Steelers right now.
And the Steelers, they really shouldn't have that advantage. They should have lost that Browns game earlier in the year. So, and John Gruden celebrating like he just won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, dude, check that a little bit, okay? Good Lord.
It was amazing. Again, I'm looking forward to this, Days of Our Steelers. This should be a fantastic week.
We now join the following program already in progress.
Fucking Tommy Maddox. There's two things I know about Tommy Maddox. Well, three. He went to UCLA. He was the MVP of the XFL championship game or the whole season. I don't remember.
Championship game, yeah.
And that son of a bitch. And the one time the Browns made the playoffs and saved them back, they were up 33-9, and that asshole led the Steelers to a comeback and ended up beating the Browns. Tommy Maddox. So fuck him all the way back to UCLA.
I just don't get what they're going for with the XFL. Again, they're playing it straight down the middle. They're going to NFL cities, and if they're based on what I see of what they're presenting, I don't think we're gonna get stuff like the Los Angeles Extreme or the New York Hitmen or anything like that. I guarantee you it's gonna be dumb crap like the Los Angeles Warriors and the New York Eagles. And
the thing about it is that, let's look at it. They're not, aside from St. Louis, they're not serving any market that's starved for football.
No.
And so, and in two of these cases, in the cases of LA and New York, there's already two NFL teams.
And the other thing with this too, if you're going to play football in St. Louis, and you're going to be playing it, I guess it's still pretty cold in February, but you could have found an outdoor stadium to play that at to make it not the miserable experience that it was trying to watch the Rams in
the
Walmart
Sam's Club.
But the big thing though is that if they're not going to markets that are starved for football and they're not playing up the insanity that made the XFL notable, then what are they offering?
Yeah, right.
What are they offering? If I can't watch He Hate Me and the wrestling commentators calling football, okay. I understand.
The Chargers missed another field goal.
I know it's not as surreal for you guys, but as someone who watched wrestling growing up, hearing Jerry Lawler and Jim Ross,
it's Magic's music.
Jim Ross calling a legitimate football game was the most surreal thing. It's like Jim Ross, who's usually Stone Cold, by God, Stone Cold, and he's just well, it's at Vegas, has the ball, 1st and 10, and it's what the fuck is going on? Did I wake up in an alternate universe where everything is wrong?
When they announced the original XFL, I pictured it as, okay, this is going to be wrestling football. They're going to have storylines and players that hate each other. And
the thing is that they wanted – okay, so here's the thing with the original XFL that's hilarious is that they wanted it to be legitimate. So it wasn't going to be like wrestling. It was going to be legitimate football.
Then what's the point?
But they also wanted the wrestling storylines with players who hated each other and they try. But the thing is that it didn't work. I remember at one point – I forget the coach's name. He was the coach, I think, of the New York team. But, they tried to start a rivalry between him and Jesse Ventura, who was one of the color commentators. So Vince went to Jesse Ventura and was like, you got to trash this guy at every opportunity. And, the coach, though, wasn't playing along because he's like, I just want to get paid and coach my football team. And he's like – so, the reporters, the sideline reporters would run up to him
Tillman?
Yeah. Yes. And they'd be like – and they'd be like, Jesse Ventura said this about you. What do you have to say about that? He's like, I'm just out here to.
Who was it?
Make sure
Rusty Tillman.
Oh, he used to quarterback one of the old Pac or
Redskins.
Played for the Big 12 too in college, I think, maybe Oklahoma. I'm not sure.
But yeah, but it was hilarious because they're like, Jesse Ventura said this about you. What do you have to say? He's like, I'm just here to make sure my guys saw 60 minutes of football, and it was like the most lopsided because they wanted to be legitimate, but they also wanted to have the storylines, and it just didn't work.
I wanted it to be like, okay, the running back has a real problem with the middle linebacker. And you play for, I don't know, a couple plays here and there, and then they go at it. And everybody clears away and they fight. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, here comes the defensive end. And you know what I mean?
And then there's this brawl, but then this is where JR comes in. It's like, then Stone Cold's music is Stone Cold.
Right. And then all of a sudden you've got like actual wrestlers showing up. I mean, this is more like the Globetrotters.
Jesse Ventura called him Gutless Rusty.
Yeah, so it's more like the Globetrotters where you play a little bit of basketball, but really the show is the show. Mm-hmm. They'd still play football, but like every 8 plays, so you got to have a fight. You got to have something. Come on. And it wasn't any of that. And now they're going to make it even more straight-laced than it was the first time. I don't see the appeal. I just don't.
Yeah, like if you're not going to have the insanity, because like that's Zach's right. Like you look like there are people today who weren't even alive when the XFL originally hit, who know what it is. Like I teach 14 and 15-year-olds, right? These are kids who were born after the XFL lived and died. But like you tell them like, oh, do you know what the XFL is? So like, wasn't that like the wrestling football league? Like they know what it is.
Yeah.
And they know about the insanity, like stuff like He Hate Me, like that's like ingrained in popular culture as crazy as it sounds. Like that became.
This is a league that had 2 teams with an X in their name, one that started the name and one that ended the name, and we're gonna get like the Los Angeles, I don't know,
Tigers or something.
Tigers, yeah.
They're not getting how this would have to work because
like the only reason
the Los Angeles Extreme and the Memphis Maniacs.
The only reason anyone in 2020 would tune into the XFL is, oh, yeah, wasn't that crazy wrestling league? That'll be fun to watch. And then if it's just boring football but with worse players, then it's not going to last.
Yeah, I mean, nobody wants to watch, like I said, long season A football. So you got to have the hook. And it's Jim McMahon. It's Vince McMahon.
Oh, Vince McMahon. Vince, yeah.
Vince McMahon. So I'm sorry, Vince, but no one's going to take you that seriously because you've got a history of a product that is kind of not at all like a straight-laced football league. So either embrace your whole reputation and take this thing all the way and make it fun, or don't bother.
You know what's really going to piss me off? What's going to be the final straw for this XFL? Is if they use a boring brown football.
Yeah, the ball was kind of cool, I thought.
It's got to be like, I want the black ball with the giant red X's on each side.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, come on.
You can still get those things at Ollie's for like $5.
That was the one piece of XFL merchandise I had as a kid. I had one of those footballs.
Mm-hmm. I did
because
too.
It was so cool.
I remember I was in a Walmart and I saw one and I went to like my parents like, can I get this? And my dad was like, really? And it was like the most shameful thing. Like my dad was looking at me like as he purchased it. He's like, here, like, thank you.
I was, just on, it's kind of off the XFL, but I would love an actual USFL game ball. I think that would be great.
Can I get a job as the ball judge? I feel like that would be like the easiest gig. Like what do you do?
I judge this ball inadequate.
I'm the XFL ball judge. It's like, really? It's like, yeah, I get paid like $300,000 a year. It's great.
I judge this ball to be of the highest quality. This ball is of a fine vintage.
You know what? If I got to be the XFL ball judge, I would take the field wearing like a British judge's wig.
Right, yeah.
With the robe.
I judge this ball inadequate.
As we said, like if they're going to play this down the middle, and the only interesting thing is that anybody can catch a pass.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
All right, cool.
And I'm not so sure that that's going to be as cool as we think it would be.
That'll get me to watch a game.
I watch to see what the uniforms look like because that's what we do. and I'll watch to see everybody eligible to catch a pass.
Well, but the other thing with that is if you're going to get a bunch of people coming in that are all nobody learns football in the way that the XFL is presenting it, right?
Right.
So any coach or player you're going to have coming in here is going to know how to coach football normally, and to say, well, hey, now the center is eligible. That's not going to make it.
Who sits down and writes and plans out routes for centers and guards and tackles to run anyway? You know?
Well, because if you're doing that, then you're losing somebody that's blocking too.
Right.
You're going to end up running more conventional football plays than they think, I think.
Yep.
They probably sit there and say, hey, this is going to be a really great rule. Yeah, it'll make it. Oh, anybody's eligible. How crazy. And then when you actually go to put it into practice, you say, oh, wait, that's stupid. There's reasons why football doesn't get played
none of this is going to be good. Do the wrestling thing. Like I said, I think it would be great to have these rivalries, write storylines just like they do in the WWE. Play them out, and you can still make the football legit if you want. Make the fights fake. I don't care. But that would be entertaining. That would be fun. This is just going to be bad football. I don't really care to watch that. I see enough bad football when I have to watch like the freaking Bengals play the Jaguars.
So CCSLC board member G-Dog actually had a great question and answer in one post that I want to share with you guys. So out of the XFL, the AAF, the APL, the FFL, who is going to win the battle to be the not NFL football league?
Nobody.
Nope. There is an answer. The CFL.
Well, it's hard to kind of sell Americans on the CFL because it's Canada, so they feel that disconnect.
Now that's
no.
Let me tell you about the CFL.
No, Mike. Hey, I'm on your side. But the Canadianness aside, there's already a football league for people to watch if they really want to watch it. ESPN broadcasts it. It's not like it's hidden.
The CFL has been around for a long time. It's actually older than the NFL if you trace the predecessor leagues. So if you're a player who's not quite at the NFL level, but you're still good enough to play pro football, where are you going to go? Are you going to go to any of these spring leagues that might not be around in a year? No. Or are you going to go to the CFL, which is going to be there next year?
Your check's not going to bounce. There's a lot of guys that started in the CFL that became Warren Moon, Doug Flutie.
The immortal Doug Flutie.
He had a great career in the CFL, and he came down here and he had a pretty good NFL career. Warren Moon was, like an all-time leading passer for the Edmonton Eskimos, and he comes on here and he was a Pro Bowler and a Hall of Famer in the NFL. So you get players for this because a lot of guys would rather play football to get a paycheck than to go to work at the factory or whatever, but you're not going to get top-notch players. No, it's going to be on the quality level of like Montana State versus Idaho. Okay, folks, on that note, we're going to call it a night and sit down and consider all of our options for spring football over the next couple of years. And
who would you rather watch, people? The XFL, whoever versus whoever, or would you rather watch the Hamilton Ticats play the Ottawa Red Blacks?
Red Blacks, baby. Red Blacks all caps. Hashtag Red Blacks all caps.
RB Nation.
RB Nation. Speaking of hashtags and all that, you can follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports. You can subscribe to our lovely little podcast via iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, and YouTube. And, of course, you can find us on Facebook. With that, we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.
Later.
Adios.